Every now and again, you hear a song that has so much magic to it. You know it's going to be a smash hit. Up next, a Rock and Roll Hall of Famer tells us the story of a song that, in my mind, is just that. I mean, the song explodes in the first 3 seconds and it hooks you. The story of how it came together and how it hit number one is next on Professor of Rock. Hey music junkies, Professor of Rock, always here to celebrate the greatest artists and the greatest songs of all time. You know, if growing up you were more concerned about your car stereo than your actual car, you're gonna love this channel. That's how I was. Subscribe below right now to get to know the stories behind the great songs from the rock and roll era. Most of the time it's from the artists themselves. And also take a look at our Patreon link. You can get another catalog of content there, and you can help support our mission of capturing the stories of the rock and roll era. In all the interviews that I've conducted with the legendary artists about the great songs, you know, you hear about songs, and if you've watched, you've heard it too, that they had no clue it would be a hit. Some thought it might be. But every now and again, there are songs that are just no-brainer hits. With this next song, to me, it's a no doubt about it smash hit. In the first 3 seconds, like I said, it knocks you sideways silly.
1, 2, 3.
Good Lovin' by the Rascals. First called the Young Rascals before changing their name to just the Rascals. In fact, when they released this particular song in February of 1966, they were the Young Rascals. The song went to number one in the spring of that year in 66. The song was first recorded by the artist Lemme B in March 65.
Good lovin', baby. Good lovin', baby.
It was written by Rudy Clark. Shortly after that, it was recorded with lyrics that were rewritten by R&B artists, the Olympics, and that version went to number 81 on the charts. It's one of those songs that truly shaped music and arguably the greatest decade in popular music history, the 1960s. That's how I feel, anyway. So up next, Rock and Roll Hall of Famer singer and keyboardist Felix Cavaliere. The original band tells the story of recording this smash hit. I want to jump into the feel-good, one of the greatest rock and roll songs of all time, Good Lovin'. It's number one hit in America, number one in Canada. Just such a massive, massive song. Written by Rudy Clark and Arthur Resnick and produced, as you say, by the great Arif Mardin and Tom Dowd. Tell me about that song, because that was originally recorded by Lemme B, right?
Yeah. Good lovin', baby.
And the Olympics with different lyrics. And it hit number 81, so it didn't go very high. But the rumor was that you heard their version on the radio and you added to your repertoire in the concert. But tell me about that.
As I said earlier, you know, you were not allowed to do originals. So what I would do is I would go to this little town called New Rochelle, and I'd go into these little record stores, which used to be around, and they had these little and I would find these records that only down south people would hear. You really didn't hear them up north too much, unless, you know, you tuned into the right radio stations at the right time. Well, I heard this song, you know, and so I brought it in, and I would have to buy the disc to prove to the club owner, you know, this is legitimate cover, you know. Well, that one there, and you know, with all due respect to Tommy and Arif, they didn't produce anything. That's how we played it. They just put the mics on. I mean, that's fine. I'll take it. What I remember about that is, you know, when you do a song that many times, from the first time we played that song, people got up and danced. First time. I mean, Dino was like a runaway locomotive behind you. You know, like, you get out of the way, man, because this beat is just coming so strong. And I remember, Tommy, when we recorded it, you know, we always think you can do it better. You know, I mean, give me another shot. And he put his hand on the board like this. He said, "You're going to have to go through me to touch that." And he was right. And that's when I kind of learned it. Yeah, there's more than just, you know, like the best performance. There's a kind of a magic that you have to capture, which is what Atlantic did. See, Atlantic had a different philosophy from today. I mean, I don't know if people would be interested, but they were a jazz label and an R&B label. So what they would do is they would, get the musicians, get the singers, they'd capture a moment, which is what you do in jazz. When you got John Coltrane and Miles Davis, you play, and they play, and then it stops, and then that's a time capsule. That's how Atlantic taught us, basically. It was like, make it happen. Make it magic, and then don't touch it. So that's the beauty of Atlantic that I really took with me forever,
Well, that energy of that record, I mean, every time you hear it, I've heard it 1,000 times, right, that song, and it makes you want to get up and dance. If you're jamming in your car, you roll down the window, and you're just feeling so good. Tell me about that rawness, because I think that's what Tom Dowd was saying, is that rawness was there. We wanted to capture that live feel. Tell me about what you remember about that recording.
Well, we were in the famous Atlantic studio, where, people like Ray Charles, as I say, John Coltrane, these guys were in this room. So the energy in that room, something I don't know if people understand, man, there's magic in those rooms. You know what I'm saying? We recorded in a room that James Brown used to record in. Oh my God, you didn't even have to play the drums. There was rhythm everywhere. So, when we did it, basically we set up just like we were playing on stage, and we did it, I don't know, 2 or 3 times, and they captured it. So, it was very interesting because, it was really like a professional studio for pretty much the first time in our history. And there's a big difference between playing live and playing under a microscope. So, there's mistakes in there, which is really interesting because when they switched to digital, you could hear them. When you didn't hear them on the, because we only had 8 tracks. And we were the only ones that had 8 tracks. And all the other guys, all of our peers in England, they had 4 tracks, which shows you how amazing those guys were. 4 to do all of that. We had 8, which Tommy and a couple of other people with Les Paul developed. So 8 was like unique, it was like huge, but still wasn't anything compared to now. But it was always exciting in the studio, and we always had fun, and it was always something that, I just cherished.
Well, adding that 1, 2, 3 beginning where it was each member saying one of those numbers, right? I think the order was Eddie, Cornish, and then you, right? 1, 2, 3, and then going right into it.
1, 2, 3. Good love. Good love.
Where did that come from?
Oh, geez, I don't remember. I really don't. That was a long time ago, and the thing what they say about the 60s, if you remember it, you weren't there.
Right. And the distinct guitar, the and your Hammond, that's one of the greatest Hammond solos ever.
Well, Gene was an interesting guy because, he came from upstate New York. And he really had never, I don't think he ever heard R&B. I don't think he knew what was going on with it. He was a Beatle guy. He had his group called the Unbeatables. So he came to New York and he hooked up with this crazy group of Italians, because we were all Italian. And so what he was doing was he was emulating what he thought R&B was. See, and it wasn't really what R&B was. It was what he played. And it became unique. Yeah. And it worked. And it became a style that, people copy, So it was really kind of interesting how that took place, Well,
the top 5 that week when you guys were at #1 is just an amazing 5 songs that everybody still remembers to this day, whether young or old. I mean, it was You're My Soul and Inspiration. You guys at #1, You're My Soul and Inspiration. Wow. Monday, Monday by the Mamas and the Papas.
Monday, Monday.
Sloop John B by the Beach Boys.
Wow.
We come on this sloop, John B.
And Secret Agent Man by Johnny Rivers.
Agent Man, secret agent man.
Ah, that's great.
And it seemed like it was that way every week in the 60s. But
Yeah.
what was it like at that moment, being at the top of the charts with the Beach Boys, the Beatles, the Stones?
I mean, you can't even describe it, you know. Yeah, you know, it was shocking, you know, because it was so quick. I mean, after the first record, you know, to jump into a #1 was really interesting, you know. I didn't know what to say other than, like, thank you, you know. When it really took place was when we went to the West Coast. We worked at the Whiskey A Go-Go. And we were able to combine the East Coast with the West Coast radio play, and then it went right to #1. See, because radio used to be different, you know what I mean? Like, it wasn't one company owned the whole damn thing, you know? So you had to go around, you know, to different environment, different cities, and literally, you know, advertise your song to that market. But when we hit California with the Whiskey, we broke all the records and I'll never forget it. You talk about the energy. There was a group there, I'm trying to think of the name, but it was Love. Mm-hmm. They were catatonic. They went on stage like this. And all of a sudden, these guys from New York and New Jersey go, they go, BAM! We started kicking butt from the front. It was like everybody went, you know. But that was the Rascals, see?
Yeah.
So we broke all the records.
Oh, yeah.
Until Otis came, and then he broke our record.
It's in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame for the 500 greatest songs of all time, and the Rolling Stone 500, Dave Marsh. There are other artist covers. The Tremolos covered it. The Who covered it. I don't know if you ever heard the Who's
I
version.
heard that there were a lot of other people beside the Olympics that did it before we did it, as well as after we did it. I never knew that. I knew the Olympics. The Olympics were a good group. They were really good.
But these are the ones that did it after you guys
they
had
did
the
it after,
huge
yeah.
hit. Yeah, the Who, and then Tommy James and the Shondells did it.
I asked my family doctor just what I had.
The Grateful Dead did
I know,
it.
yeah.
You heard their version with Pigpen singing it.
'Cause you got to have love.
It's a song that really resonates with not only the 60s, but now. And it's been used so much in pop culture. I mean,
Oh, yeah.
when it was used in The Big Chill, what did you think about that? That was a
That's-
key moment in the film.
Alex and I made love the night before he died. It was fantastic.
That was a key moment in our lives when Big
Yeah.
Chill came out. Big Chill really changed everything. Prior to Big Chill, we were in the doldrums. Mm-hmm. You know, we were going through that period where they had that disco stuff, and everybody was really getting you know, I don't know if I want to buy this stuff. You know what I mean? I mean, Saturday Night Fever was an exception. Most of that stuff, you know, you didn't have to buy that. I mean, you could dance, but, you know, well, when Big Chill came out, oh, they're these guys and ladies from the 60s. That's a huge market, isn't it? Opened up a whole new vista to us with commercials, movies. All of a sudden, we were relevant again. That was a big deal, that Big Chill, let me tell
Do
you.
you remember seeing the movie?
I remember it. I met some of the stars. I met some of the people, and I don't think they had any idea what they were doing, but they changed us. They changed everything. Major turning point. Because up to that, you know, it was getting a little lonely out there.
Oh, yeah. Well, and after that, you know, got used in Joe versus the Volcano, Grumpy Old Men, American Gangster, that great film, and then more American Graffiti, which, what was cool about that is American Graffiti was like, this is the music of the 50s. More American Graffiti tried to do what they did with the music of the 50s for the music of the 60s. But to be remembered like that is just incredible. And then name-checked by John Mellencamp and ROCK in the USA.
Yeah. It was great. John, I met John many years after, and he said, man, we got to thank you guys, because he said, we, meaning John, have it made now. And you guys, you know, you probably had to bring your own PA systems. And he's right, we did. Yeah, it's a whole new world, you know.
The Kristen Ann Carr benefit and Tribeca Grill with
yeah.
Bruce,
Yeah.
with Springsteen and Little Steven, and
Yeah.
you guys jammed on Good Lovin'.
1, 2, 3, good love.
What do you remember about that?
I don't want to get emotional about it, but one of my daughters developed breast cancer. So I got a call, blah, blah, blah. I said, you're kidding. She said, no, I'm not kidding. I said, oh boy. And I get a call from Steve Van Zandt. We're doing this benefit for cancer research. Oh, I see. I got to be there.
Yeah. What a great performance that was. What are your thoughts when you play it now? I mean,
About Good Lovin'?
Yeah.
Well, as I say, since we started playing that song, people got up and danced. They still do. So I close my show with that now, And sure enough, man, they get up and they know the words, and it's just really very interesting. What can you say? It's all these years, and they still feel that energy, and they still get up and they still move their bodies. It's a good idea.
Hey, thanks so much for watching. Make sure to leave us a comment about this #1 60s smash and about Felix and the Rascals, one of the greatest bands of that era. What are other songs that you heard where you just knew it was going to be massive? I would love to hear those in the comments. If you like this video, again, we invite you to be a full-time part of our community by subscribing. Hit the bell so you never miss out. Also, we invite you to check us out on Patreon. Just give it a look. I think you'll like it. Help us keep the music alive. Until next time, 3 chords and the truth, my friends. Talk soon.